Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're working back on the 52 Chevy, the seat project. Nope, don't like that. Nope. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're working back on the 52 Chevy project, continuing on with the seats that we left off in the last week's video. So this time we're going to take the seats out of the truck. We're going to clean up underneath where the seats go in the actual seat riser with the wire brushes to get all the scale of the rust cleaned out of there. So much easier with the rails won't be welded in for the seats. So once we get the seats out, we're going to clean up underneath the seat risers. We're going to put one seat back in. We're going to tack weld the frame rails for the seat into place, unbolt the seat, finish weld those seat rails back in place, and then do the next seat. We definitely do not want to burn these seats with the welders. I'm going to throw the welding blanket over top of them when we're actually tacking these into place. Once they're tacked into place, the seats will come out. The frame rails will be tacked in. We'll fully weld those frame rails in. And then once that's all done, we're going to work on boxing in the tops of the seat risers just so there's no sharp edges and everything will be nicely finished off. So we're going to get those seats out of the truck right now and let's get to it. Bring it closer and show what we're going to work on right now. So right now we're going to take the wire brush on the grinder. We're just going to clean up this entire area in here because we're going to be welding in the frame rails for the seats right here. That's going to kind of keep us from coming across here nice and easily with the wire wheel. So we're just going to do that right now before we weld these crossbars in here. Once that's done, we're going to cap this entire edge off all the way around, probably on both sides here, cap that off completely because we don't need it and it'll make it look a lot nicer when we finish it all off. So that's what we're going to work on right now. Got my respirator that I've painted cars with before because this is going to get really dusty. So we're going to use that right now, get this all cleaned up, and then we'll get to welding the seat into place. All right, so right now we're going to vacuum all around in here, get all that crap out of there, and then we'll work on patching up the holes in the floor. So you can see the holes right there. We're going to patch the holes up, then we'll work on probably getting the seats welded into place. So let's get this all vacuumed out right now. All right, so we've got this all vacuumed out now. It's all nice and clean, no more flaky rust in here. So we're gonna work on these holes. They're underneath the cab. There's like a pinhole right here we wanna cover up. Probably just put some metal over these and just weld the metal in. This whole thing's gonna be painted and sound deadened, so you won't see these anyway. And after the sound deadening, we'll probably put a couple layers of sound deadening, honestly. And then we might even throw a piece of carpet in here. Just anything we can do to keep the sound down, the heat out. That's what we wanna do in here. There's a couple holes along the bottom of the seat riser. I think I can probably just hit that pretty easily with the flap wheel or whatnot, but yeah, this is nicely cleaned up now. Really nice. So I'm gonna grab a flap wheel and just clean up these areas around these, just so we got some nice fresh metal. It's clean now, but it'll be better with the flap wheel just to grind it down a little bit, smooth these out. All right, so I'm gonna use my metal shears and a piece of this 18 gauge steel, and we're gonna make little patch panels to go over tops of these holes. But before we do that, we're gonna take the flap wheel, just clean up all around here, just make sure we've got a nice clean surface to actually weld to. So I got some new flap wheels from Benchmark Abrasives. These are the actual ceramic coated discs, so they should chew through this stuff a little bit faster. So we'll see how these work. Never tried the ceramic coated flap wheels yet. Now there's no rhyme or reason how I'm doing this. I would just like to make them relatively square patches. So let me get my square and a marker. So right now we're going to patch this hole here and that hole right over there. There's 2 holes. We're going to get those all patched up right now. So right now there's a little spot right down in here that needs to get patched on the front along with over here, and then one in the back over there. So we're probably going to work on just getting those taken care of right now. Once that's done, we're going to start grinding all these down a little bit just to smooth them out just a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect because they're going to be painted and sound deadened. Okay, so right now we've got everything, all the holes welded up around in here. We're going to grind these down, just smooth them out a little bit. They don't need to be perfect. And once we do that, we're going to get rid of these gas tank strap brackets. We're going to get rid of those too. We're going to try to grind those out and cut those out right now. We're just patching up this cut in the floor that I did. Like a dum-dum. It looks like 2 cuts. All right, so let's break out the vacuum, get this all sucked up. We're gonna work on little brackets that are gonna go here and here on all 4 braces for the seat. So we have something else to weld to other than just this flimsy 18 gauge steel right here. I'm gonna do a 1x1 to the floor. We'll weld that in place before we actually set the seats in. Once we set the seats in, we'll tack weld the rails in place to the 1x1s we weld in here that are welded to the seat riser, just making it extra strong. Now's the time to do it. Right now I've got these little 1-inch 1x1s. These are 1-inch square tubing cut down about just shy of 1 inch, probably about 7/8 inch tall. And they fit perfectly underneath the rail that's going across right down here. So it adds extra support. Instead of just welding the actual seat rails to the actual seat riser, which is only like 18 gauge steel, I'm putting in 1x1s or 1-inch square tubing, 1/8 inch thick. It's gonna weld all the way around the floor, up or along the seat riser. And we'll also weld these little 1x1s to the actual rails when we get those placed in here. So we're gonna weld these little 1x1s in place right now. I use this spare 1x1 just to make sure that nothing was gonna hit when we put them in place. I might have to bridge a little bit of a gap along the way, but that's fine. Better too short on these than too tall. That would throw off the seats. So we're gonna weld these little squares into place right now. Right now we need to work on the spacers right here. Say my rail goes like this. So I need a spacer that comes down here. So I've got little pieces made up to support the front of the seats here. We've got 4 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're cut with an angle on the bottom to fit the bevel on the bottom of the floor. They're gonna get welded right along vertically on the actual seat riser. Here, 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 here. So we're gonna get those welded in place right now. I'm gonna use a bar across just to make sure I've got them in the right position from the back to the front, so they're not going up too high or down too low, so they're perfectly positioned. So when I tack them into place, I'll remove the bar and then I'll fully weld these little brackets into place. After that's done, then we'll set the seat in over here or over on here. We're gonna start on one side or the other. Set the seat in place, wrap it with a welding blanket because we don't wanna get anything on these seats. Tack the actual seat frame rails in place, remove the seats, fully weld the seat frame rails in place. Then these seats will be actually fully installed at this point. So right now we're gonna weld these little support brackets in. All right, so right now we have all of these brackets welded in front and back for both the passenger side and the driver's side seats. So right now we're gonna set the driver's side seat in place, measure the hangover on the front to make sure we've got it sticking out just shy of 1 inch. So we're gonna set the seat in place. We're gonna make sure it's in the exact same position we want it to be. We're gonna wrap the seat with a welding blanket, and then I'm gonna tack the frame rails onto these brackets we just installed. Once it's tacked into place pretty well, we're gonna remove the seat, leaving the seat brackets in place, fully weld those brackets in, and then the seats will be installed at that point. Here comes the seat. It's in place. You can tell it's dropped into the track. Now I just need to lift up the back, slide it back into the spot where it's supposed to be. Just like that. So now I'm gonna measure the front to make sure we've got the correct overhang on both sides. I think it might actually be like that. So let me grab my square, just get a measurement off of here, and we'll get that tacked into place after we wrap the seat with a welding blanket right now before we mess anything up. So I'm just gonna make a couple more measurements just to be sure it's exactly where I want it. Now we're gonna flip over and we're gonna do the other side. Once that's tacked in, we're gonna remove the seat, finish weld everything nicey nice. And then get the passenger seat in, and keep going. There There we go. This seat is now fully tacked in, not going anywhere. So let's get the seat out of the truck and get that bracket fully welded in. We'll do the same for the passenger side coming up. So now we have the driver's seat fully tacked into place. Now we need to slide the seat all the way forward, unbolt the back of the seat, slide the seat backwards, unbolt the front of the seat, get the seat out so we can fully weld the frame rails into the seat risers and the brackets we installed earlier. So we're gonna do that right now. This will be the first test of actually unbolting the seat. This is how we're gonna remove the seat from the truck going forward. We have to physically unbolt the 4 bolts holding it in place. I really need to make one of these that's really long and I can get a drill in there and I have to do it little at a time. This one, luckily it's loose enough I can just loosen it by hand really quick, at least for now. Back seat's out. Now we'll slide the seat backwards, but the seat's got to be up to at least that position before it'll slide back even farther. Just like that. Perfect access to these front bolts. Now the seat comes out. Just like that, and the frame rails stay. Just like that. So these are gonna get fully welded in. Right now they're tacked in really well. That's what the frame rails look like. So now we're gonna set the passenger seat in place, do the exact same thing. We're gonna tack that into place where we want it, get that seat out, fully weld these all in, bolt the seats back into place, and the seats will be done at that point. Freaking nailed the spot. And we lift, and we slide. Like that. And now we measure, should be just shy of 1 inch on both sides. Right, so let's get the seat out and get everything fully welded in. No burn marks on the seat, perfect. So I'm gonna go around and we're going to unbolt that seat right now. So this is what the frame rails look like. So now we're gonna get the welder going and we're gonna finish weld all this stuff into place. So I'll probably start on this side, get this welded in, we'll flip it around and finish the other side. All right, everyone, that's gonna be a wrap for this video. As you can see, we got the seat rails completely tacked into place, welded into place. They are 100% completely installed in the truck now. I can easily bolt the seats in and out as I need to. I didn't put the seats back in because coming up in the next week's video, I'm actually gonna clean up all underneath here. I'm gonna mock up where the computer's gonna go underneath the driver's seat and modify some brackets for that. And I'm probably gonna end up painting all up underneath the seat. Once that's done, we're gonna completely cap off the edge of the seat riser so there's no sharp edges. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Smash that big red subscribe button, smash that bell icon so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.